Al Sharpton is about as much of a reverend as Captain Crunch is a real captain.
You ain't nothing. You a punk faggot. Now come on, do something.
Or as much as Harlan David Sanders ranked up to colonel in the Army.
I think that hate is an emotion. I would love to use love, but if I've got to use hate, I'll deal with what my hand calls for.
But even so, I reckon even Colonel Sanders deserved to be called a Kentucky colonel, more than Al Sharpton deserves to be called a reverend. Seriously.
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
So, as far left as liberal Hollywood is, the political correctness and color quota of Hollywood still doesn't satisfy Al Sharpton. Blacks in Hollywood have a love-hate relationship too. In general, blacks know that Hollywood is racist. And to get away from the racist way that Hollywood portrays blacks, BET was started, so blacks could portray themselves according to their standards, but ended up portraying themselves even worse than Hollywood does. And not only that, supports the same political party and policies that Hollywood does. But whatever. Despite being against segregation, BET itself segregated itself, but became its own industry, and they have their own awards and stuff too. Why isn't that good enough for Al Sharpton? I don't agree with the self-segregation of BET, but it is blacks having their own. And Sharpton's not satisfied? I'm sure BET will give Selma all the awards you want. Just be patient. What's wrong? Being awarded by BET isn't good enough for you? Anyway, now NBC went from being more colorful to being NBC Black. Now NBC wants to be the Negro Broadcasting Channel now. This is how stupid this is, but insanely evil in its genius. You would think that NBC Black would exist because there's such a huge demographic for them to pander to, right? And of course, you want your demographic to grow. But the liberal agenda promotes abortion, and the highest abortion rate is on the black community. Al Sharpton supports it, and with NBC Black, the black community is going to assume they're special because liberal NBC has created a channel just for them, which will give liberals more credibility with blacks, and of course will make the poison of promoting abortion go down that much easier. Because NBC, with its so-called progressive agenda in the vein of the Democrat Margaret Sanger, isn't to grow its black demographic, it's to shrink it. If I'm lying, then I guess it's just our imaginations that the black community is only 13% of the population, when had it not been for abortion, it would be 34%. And people like Al Sharpton want to complain about us being minorities? Black people, please do not be suckered by NBC Black. You're being segregated again. The Afrocentric uses catchphrases like minstrel show to qualify their blackness, using fanciful language to make themselves out to be victims, to show that they're qualified to represent the struggle. Oh, whatever. Before you try to use words like minstrel show to qualify yourself, you might want to take a good look at what the NBC Black actually is. It's the Jim Crow Minstrel 2.0. Democrats haven't changed. Thomas Rice was a Democrat who created the Jim Crow Minstrel to entertain. Democrats instituted the Jim Crow laws following that entertainment. Democrat voting liberals create the NBC Black Minstrel to entertain and inform. Gee, I wonder what laws the Democrats will institute following that. But you'll be okay with it because you're the political chump who still supports conniving Democrats. Malcolm X's words, not mine, though I agree with him 1000%. But I'm the guy who hates Malcolm X, while real black folks love Malcolm X. Yeah, I guess that's why real black men shot him, right? The problem with black entertainment is what they try to shove down people's throat, is that it's black entertainment. And if it's black entertainment, then it's a black thing, and you wouldn't understand. So why would you expect other races to spend money and throw awards at something they wouldn't understand? We go and tell other races, it's a black thing, you wouldn't understand, and then get mad at them for not understanding us. Oh, and not giving us all the awards Al Sharpton thinks we should have. I understand that the black community wants due credit from white folks for the achievements blacks have made, and blacks accuse me of wanting a white man's approval. Anyway, you want white people to acknowledge you with awards and applaud your achievements as black people. You're really not seeing how much you allow white people to live in your head rent-free, do you? You obsess over white people daily. You allow them to rule over you. It validates your existence to live for them as it qualifies you in the struggle. It's a sickness. There are amazing contributions made by blacks that weren't just good for blacks, but for mankind, period. That's what made them great. The reason why blacks don't get the ideal recognition or credits for such achievement is because there's not enough follow-through. You want black folks to get credit? Be a credit to your race. Want to be a credit to your race? Be a credit to the human race. A black person does something great, and that's like throwing a grain of pepper in the grits. Naturally, that's gonna get obscured. If you don't want black achievement to be lost to obscurity, then maybe you should focus on sprinkling them grits with pepper, so you know the pepper's in there, and the ingredients start to complement each other, instead of trying to dominate each other. Again, stop demanding white people give you credit for something. Put that energy in being a credit to mankind. But before you can do that, you have to learn that being of service is not a negative. You've been conditioned to associate service with slavery. Well, you can thank Democrats for that. But the thing is, it's actually a service that makes a person great. It's not in how many people you force to serve like Democrats do. It's how you use your freedom to serve. Y'all are acting like cowboys with crap in their mustaches, looking for love in all the wrong places. If I can borrow that analogy from Cheech and Chong. Speaking of crap and mustaches, Geraldo, Al Sharpton is nothing like MLK. MLK promoted no violence. Al Sharpton is a belligerent thug masquerading as a reverend promoting violence. MLK was dedicated to the fulfillment that is stated in the Declaration of Independence. Al Sharpton is interested in the racial divide because it's very lucrative for him. Black people, have you noticed that you're still angry? Have you noticed that maybe you're angry because the quality of your life isn't improving because you keep listening to people like Al Sharpton and the rest of these liberal Democrats? Do you want to be angry or free? Don't blame me or Alan West or Thomas Sowell, Deneen Borelli, and many others. You don't listen to us. We don't have any influence over your life. So it's not our fault you're in the state that you're in. You're listening to people like Al Sharpton, Chris Rock, Jesse Jackson, Russell Simmons, etc. People who become wealthy by constantly conditioning you to believe you're a victim. They're rich. What are you? They make money off your misery. If you're gonna be angry at them, because they're the ones you've been listening to. I'm Alfonso Rachel with ZoNation, and Al Sharpton has about as much to do with MLK's dream as grape nut cereal has to do with grapes or nuts.
Now come on, do something.